was down and out, riddled with doubt, had nowhere to go. Everything's moving so slow, the time's moving too fast. I hope this feeling don't last. Well, I've been away from myself too long. My body is aching from all my wrongs. And now that I know I'm not that strong, I'll keep slipping on to you. I'll keep slipping until my time is through. I'll keep slipping on to you, yeah, on to you. Well, I've been away from myself too long. My body is aching from all my wrongs. And now that I know I'm not that strong, I'll keep slipping on to you. I'll keep slipping until my time is through. I'll keep slipping on to you, yeah, on to you. I was down and out, so riddled with doubt.
am the devil. I am the Lord Satan from the netherworld, ruler of the damned and eternal king of hell. Even I, the master of deceit, can only stomach so much bullshit from the mainstream media and indie grifters. That's why I tune in to Morning Extra with Uncle Warren, because he eliminates my competition, and also because I know I'm gonna see that motherfucker soon.
Deo, Deo.
Baby's got a burger and a shooter and that shake is all go down. Baby's got a burger and a shooter and that shake is all go down. Corrosion to her thighs, erosion of her pride. Baby's got a shooter, baby's got corrosion now, corrosion now. Baby's got it.
Hey, it's the baby's got it. Why does this always do this? Oh, my cheese and crackers. All right, there we are. Greetings and salutations from the North Pole. It is I, Santa Claus, and my gift to you is the gift of space. Not outer space, just distance between you and I. Like kind of a low-budget Santa Claus. Good morning, everyone. Happy fracking morning to you, John Kemper. Good to see you. Got CJ in the house. Desert Mantis is here. Chuck's Intergalactic UFO Show. He had another show this past Friday, too. So I think it's a series. I believe so. It's not a one-off, kids. Who else? We got Rick Salas in here, taking a break from the concierge desk down there. Maybe getting a little cool air. I don't know how cool it is where you're at, Rick. You're down in Tejas, so I know it's like it's already hellish temperatures. But I mean, I guess this time of year though, Texas has got like its own ecosystems, like all over the state, right? I was there on a job several years ago, and I was there for a month. And in that time, it was sunny, it was raining. There was snow. I believe there was hail. There was tornadoes. It was hot. It was cold. And now I know why they call it the Florida of the Southwest, because those people are crazy. Get up here. And I was almost late for the show because nature decided to give me a last second call, and I don't have call waiting. But let's just say everything is good to go, hopefully. Maybe Chuck will discuss the Anunnaki. I know, right? You would think that Chuck is friends with those guys, right? He's out in space with them, They're coming back, It's 72 degrees. It's 58 here in Chicago. Very nice. Yesterday and the day before, we had really beautiful weather. Temperature wise, and it was awesome. I know the winter is coming. The hard freeze is headed this way, but I'm prepared for it. Choosy! Yeah, I just got the call from nature. Also, we are in sync. All right. Or we could be Backstreet Boys. See, because in sync and the thing. Well, yeah. Anyway, I got shit here somewhere. I hope I got this set up. So we have a big show for you today, as usual. Lots of news stories to get to. But of course, let's start things off with our buddy Chanda, who needs our help. She's battling lung cancer. She's a champ. She's a Gen X. She's a tough chick, but still, the bills are tough too. So if you can plop a few coins in the old GoFundMe there, at least share out the link. Link's down in the description below. I'm sure she would appreciate it. Of course, her pals do too. So, Yeah, and what's going on with that? Is that the? Oh, I forgot.
Fuck you, everybody. Good night.
57 degrees in Oregon. Maybe it'll come back soon. Willie Bragg, Willie, you sweetheart. Good to see you, brother. He had an early morning show this morning. He says, listening to the show from the local Bojangles in Selma, North Carolina, off of Highway 95. Good morning. You are cheating on Denny's? Thank you for that, Willie. That's very sweet of you. You're cheating on Denny's. I won't tell if you won't tell, because that, bros before hoes, or bros before moon over my hammy, I guess. I guess that's a thing. Ooh, they got the. I'm looking in the chat, and now when you at somebody in the chat, instead of it just being this yellow, oh wait, it's probably because you're responding to the thing. I never seen that before. It's like this yellow round thing around the name. I'm easily impressed by shiny toys. So, anywho, let's get to it. Looks like your favorite fascists and genociders got nukes. Wait, what? Hold on a second. I did this all wrong. There we go. You don't need to see that other shit. So, leaked U.S. intel on Iran attack plans also confirms Israeli nuclear weapons. Dun, dun, dun. This is from John Quealy from Common Dreams. This was yesterday. We kind of have suspicion that they had him, but let's get into this. We have not observed indications that Israel intends to use a nuclear weapon. That sentence is the concluding line from allegedly leaked or hacked U.S. intelligence document posted online this week and later reported on by Axios, CNN, and other outlets. As Axios reported on Saturday, U.S. officials are extremely concerned about a potentially major security breach after two alleged U.S. intelligence documents about Israel's preparations for an attack on Iran were published by a Telegram account affiliated with Iran. The Associated Press and independent investigative journalist Ken Klippenstein both cited government sources who said the documents appeared to be legit, while U.S. officials have yet to comment publicly on the material. Reporting confirmed an investigation into their authenticity and how they came to be in the public domain was underway. Since a barrage of missile strikes aimed at military targets in Israel by Iran on October 1st, a retaliatory strike in response to Israel's assassination of Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah and other attacks, the world has been waiting for Israel's promised military response. And this is on the Drop Site's Twitter page, a set of classified U.S. intelligence documents purporting to show information about Israel's plans to strike in Iran have been confirmed as authentic. And I guess these are the documents right here. This is Drop Site at Drop Site News if you want to check that out for yourself. Assuming the documents are authentic, what they show is that U.S. intelligence, as is well known and despite being close allies, keeps a close and clandestine eye on Israeli military operations. CNN cited an unnamed U.S. official who called the documents being made public deeply concerning, though the outlet did not publish the documents in full. The documents, according to CNN, are marked top secret and have markings indicating they are meant to be seen only by the U.S. and its Five Eyes allies. That's Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and the United Kingdom. But only two of those, or three of those have eyes in their name. I don't know what the Five Eyes. They describe preparations Israel appears to be making for a strike against Iran. One of the documents, which says it was compiled by the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, that used to be my old gig, says the plans involve Israel moving munitions around. Another document says it is sourced to the National Security Agency and outlines Israeli Air Force exercises involving air-to-surface missiles, also believed to be in preparation for a strike on Iran. CNN is not quoting directly from or showing the documents. It has long been known that Israel has a nuclear weapons program and maintains a nuclear arsenal, but it remains both Israeli and U.S. government policy never to acknowledge or confirm the existence of either. I wonder why you wouldn't want that your aircraft carrier in the Middle East to be known you had nukes. Because maybe somebody bombed the fuck out of you before you got to use them. In one of the documents, the U.S. specifically references Israel's ability to deploy a nuclear weapon, though it categorizes the threat of doing so, in this case, as low. Here, this is for Dave DeCamp from antiwar.com, and I think he's also with the Libertarian Institute as well. Here are the docs. Looks like it's just U.S. observations while spying on Israeli drills. Biggest thing, I think, is the acknowledgement of Israel having nuclear weapons. And as we said, these documents are here. You can check those out for yourself. Leaked U.S. intelligence documents outline Israeli preparations to strike Iran. Reportedly, the leak comes courtesy of a U.S. intelligence source. That's according to Connor Friedman, using the antiwar.com website there, or the Twitter site. Ken Klippenstein recently banned from tweeters for posting an internal opposition research dossier that the Trump campaign had compiled on J.D. Vance, posted images of both documents to his Substack page as he excoriated major outlets for refusing to do so. I have my problems with Ken Klippenstein, particularly during the pandemic, but in this case, you know, I'll take it. I'll take it because it's corroborated by other people as well. As with the J.D. Vance dossier, which the entire media knew about but refused to publish, it appears the media has once again lost its nerve and its sense of what's news, Klippenstein wrote. According to his assessment, the intelligence report includes a rundown of the various aspects of Israeli military activities that the U.S. is monitoring to inform its judgments and conclusions. Weapons handling, air defense, ground forces, Navy, air, special forces, and even Israel's nuclear forces. But even then, only the weapons handling and special forces categories are identified as having a medium predictive ability in regards to determining Israel's action. The rest are designated low predictive ability. The second intelligence report is titled Israel Air Force Continues Preparations for Strike on Iran and Conducts a Second Large Force Employment Exercise. The document details Israeli activities during an evident mission rehearsal, in U.S. lingo, that could be indicative of how Israel will strike Iran. Citing imagery analysis and other sources, the NGA report notes that the Israeli Air Force is already conducting covert drone operations over Iran, evidently doing its own spying, and how, as part of Israeli Air Force activity, has been handling air-launched ballistic missiles and other weapons. Defending release of the full documents, he explained that both provide insight of enormous public interest as we stand at the precipice of a broader conflict and contained information that directly bears upon U.S. obligations and actions. It is for that reason that I've decided to publish the basic documents. Boom, boom, boom. Guess who's got nukes? These motherfuckers. And of course, it's not concerning that all this information came out. Of course, what's most important to these people is who the fuck leaked U.S. classified docs on potential Israeli attack plans. Anonymous, good to see you, brother. Hope you're doing well. Yes, you did make it. You do get the participation trophy. That kind of looks like SpongeBob. I don't know what that is. U.S. officials. This is from Responsible Statecraft. U.S. officials are scrambling to determine how two leaked, highly U.S. classified documents conveying potential Israeli plans to attack Iran got on the Telegram app. According to the New York Times, the documents were prepared in recent days by the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, the NGA, which analyzes information and images collected by U.S. spy satellites. There are several theories regarding these leaked reports. The first theory reads that the Iranians hacked the U.S. intelligence services and leaked the document as part of their psyops against Israel. Given previous Iranian hacks, it is not outside the realm of possibilities that they have the capacity to hack the United States. Yeah, basically anybody can hack the United States. Although, when it comes to elections, you don't necessarily have to hack anything as long as you got somebody with a flash drive. They can just plug it in the old thing there and go boop, 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 boop. Seth Rich. Excuse me. Oh, man, they went down the wrong pipe. Iranians also have a clear motivation, though it also suggests that they may not have the capacity to defend against the planned Israeli attack, even with the forewarning that the hack provides, and instead opted to leak it to forestall Israel's plans. Maybe yes, maybe no. 2, an actor within the U.S. government may have leaked it, but the investigation of the U.S. government itself, the investigation done by the U.S. government itself appears to have concluded otherwise. They have moved on to investigating outside actors. I don't know why that's doing that. My choice here, Monty Hall, is door number 2. Although 3 is intriguing. 3, the Biden administration may have orchestrated the leak itself in order to delay the Israeli attack. Biden clearly lacks the courage to say no to Israel, so instead he sneaks out intelligence with the aim of delaying Israel's plans, at least until after the U.S. elections, at which point he may find the semblance of a spine. Don't count on it in any situation. 4, the Israelis may have leaked this themselves with the aim of diverting Iran's attention by getting them to look for an attack in all the wrong places, aka the squirrel tactic. Squirrel! 5, finally, since the U.S. investigation is looking at outside actors, the question is if a close American ally, the Five Eyes, or a NATO ally with access to FVEY intelligence, that's the Five Eyes intelligence, leaked it. If so, it would suggest that close U.S. allies are so frustrated with Biden's refusal to stop Netanyahu from starting the largest war in the Middle East since World War II, possibly World War III, that they are taking matters into their own hands to sabotage Netanyahu's escalation plan. A Western diplomat recently told this article writer here, I can't remember who it was, that the only way to stop the war is to have the players who forced President Biden off the Democratic ticket in July repeat their feat by forcing Biden to stop Netanyahu. All of this, I guess Trita Parsi wrote this. All of this while Washington continues to nurture the mythology that its leadership is what holds the world together. Well, that's kind of half true. I mean, there's leadership. It's just not the leadership you think it is. It's the ones leading these politicians around with cash and threats to their families and whatnot to get them to do their bidding. Meanwhile, Israel is doing what it does best, murdering people. And here we go again. So Israeli strike on northern Gaza kills at least 87 Palestinians over the weekend. At least 87 Palestinians were killed by an Israeli strike on residential buildings, of course, in Beit Lahia, a city in northern Gaza, CNN reported on Sunday. The report cited Gaza's health ministry, which said the dead include 27 bodies that had been retrieved and 60 bodies still stuck under the rubble. At least 40 people were wounded by the strike, and some are in very critical condition. Footage of the aftermath and at the Kadwan hospital where the casualties were taken showed that children were among the dead. Standard MO there. An unidentified Palestinian man told CNN that the buildings were sheltering displaced families. But they're terrorists. Everybody's a terrorist. See, look, this guy's a terrorist. This rubble's a terrorist. You know, these wires and shit hanging down, they're all terrorists. We call on the international community to end the war, he said. We beg you. We are civilians with no connection to anyone. We demand that you stop the war. The massive strike on Beit Lahia comes as Israeli soldiers are attempting to carry out an ethnic cleansing plan known as the General's Plan. We've told you about that before. In northern Gaza, which has been under a tightening siege for over 2 weeks and cut off from food, medicine, water, and other basic necessities. The Israeli military has ordered the evacuation of 3 hospitals in northern Gaza, but the staff refused to leave so they could continue to treat their patients. Gaza's health ministry said Saturday that at least 2 patients have died at the Indonesian hospital in Beit Lahia due to the Israeli siege. the death of 2 patients inside the Indonesian hospital in the northern Gaza Strip as a result of the hospital's siege and the power outage, and Medical Supplies Ministry said the occupation has imposed a severe siege on hospitals in northern Gaza since midnight last night. I believe that was Saturday, as the Indonesian hospital was bombed and Al-Ada and Kamal Adwan hospitals were besieged at the same time. 87 people. 87 people. And that's just Gaza. And, we've told you about how Israel likes to play dirty using illegal munitions. Well, guess what? They're at it again. Israel shells Lebanese town with banned phosphorus munitions, media report. Yep, if it glows like that, chances are that's pretty much phosphorus. The Israeli army shelled the southern Lebanese town of Kafr Shuba with internationally banned phosphorus munitions, Lebanon State News Agency reported yesterday. No information was provided about damage or industries. The state-run national news agency also said that Israeli forces shelled the nearby town of Al-Kantara. Israeli warplanes also staged fresh airstrikes in the southern suburb of Beirut, including Haret Hreek, a Hezbollah stronghold. Separately, Hezbollah has said that its fighters targeted with rockets Israeli troop deployments in the Misgav Am settlement in northern Israel and the Ma'ale Golani barracks in Syria's occupied Golan Heights. Israel has mounted a huge air campaign in Lebanon since late last month against what it claims are Hezbollah targets. Everything's a target, killing over 1,500 people and displacing more than 1.34 million others. Cross-border warfare between the two sides continue since the Gaza war last October. And Israeli airstrikes destroy the financial institutions across Lebanon. I know we're not all fans of banks, but these are actually banks that do stuff for the Lebanese people. And, of course, can't have that. Israel unleashed a massive wave of airstrikes across Lebanon on yesterday evening, targeting buildings linked to Hezbollah's Al-Qard and Al-Qard Al-Hassan financial institution, which provides interest-free loans to citizens and other services. In a few minutes, we will issue early evacuation warnings to residents of Lebanon and Beirut and other areas to evacuate from sites used to finance Hezbollah's terror activity, Israeli Army spokesman Daniel Hagari said on Sunday, shortly before the bombing started. One of the targets of Israel's carnage tonight are Hezbollah's financial institutions. This is from JMK, Bint Makgara, I'm not sure who that is. The Hezbollah Financial Institution, what they mean is a nonprofit interest-free community credit card Hezbollah runs called Card Al-Hassan. It's where people can deposit their money interest-free, no overdraft fees, that kind of thing. The Israeli army issued evacuation orders for numerous buildings in Beirut's southern suburb, the eastern Bekaa region, and southern Lebanon. Civilians fled from their homes in the proximity of the dozens of Al-Qard Al-Hassan branches and offices across Lebanon. Over a dozen massive airstrikes were launched against the southern suburb, with at least one near Beirut's Rafik Hariri International Airport. At least 2 buildings were visibly leveled. And buildings in South Lebanon's Nabatea and Tyre areas, as well as Bekaa, were also targeted. The enemy's bankruptcy and inability to target the fighting capabilities of the resistance led it to threaten and target the Qard Al-Hassan financial institution, Al-Qard Al-Hassan said in a statement. We've taken all measures since the beginning of the war to preserve people's deposits and their life savings. Israel renewed its attacks on the Lebanese capital in recent days following a brief pause early this month. And the rest there, how many people were killed and whatnot. And they keep fucking with the UN, too. Israeli military bulldozer demolishes UN watchtower and fence in southern Lebanon. This is Jason Ditz over at antiwar.com. The growing chorus of international voices calling for Israel to stop hassling the UNIFIL peacekeepers, that's the UN peacekeepers in Lebanon, in southern Lebanon appears to be falling on deaf ears, and a new statement from UNIFIL reports that an IDF bulldozer demolished their perimeter fence and a watchtower in Marwahin. Israel has not commented on the specific incident yet. They never do, and it is unclear why they destroyed that particular watchtower and in so deliberate a manner. It is worth noting that a few days ago, Israeli tanks attacked damaged a similar Unifil watchtower and cameras in Kfar Kela, which is only 5 kilometers from the site of the demolition of this recent demolition. Israel is evidently keen not to have Unifil observers active in the central part of the border area. After multiple attacks on Unifil targets were reported last week, several nations, particularly France and Italy, issued statements demanding that Israeli halt their attacks because they have troops they have peacekeeping troops from those countries. French President Emmanuel Macron, in particular, warned Israel that they must not disregard UN decisions. Yesterday's Unifil statement reporting the latest attack reiterated that Israel has an obligation to ensure the safety and security of UN personnel and property. They again reiterated their intention to remain present in southern Lebanon so long as the UN Security Council asks them to remain. Chief genocidist Benjamin Netanyahu has repeatedly demanded that the UN withdraw all personnel from southern Lebanon. He's denied in the past that Israel has targeted Unifil in any way, though such a denial is clearly less credible when they're sending a bulldozer through the fence into Unifil premises and demolishing one of their towers. Oops! Oh, we let Stevie Wonder drive the bulldozer, y'all. He ain't supposed to be doing that. Unifil has a mandate to monitor the Israel-Lebanon border by the UN Security Council since 1978. That mandate was expanded dramatically following the 2006 Israeli invasion of Lebanon. And you may have heard this story over the weekend. Hezbollah rockets target Israel's north as Israel pounds Beirut suburbs. But Bibi's house was in the mix. There's Choozy's book. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Mostly the worst of times. Israel's launched several air attacks on Beirut's southern suburbs after the Lebanese armed group Hezbollah fired volleys of rockets at northern Israel, with one drone targeting Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's holiday home. Ho, 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 here comes some rockets. Netanyahu's spokesman said one of 3 drones launched from Lebanon hit Netanyahu's residence in the town of Caesarea on Saturday, adding that he was not in the vicinity and there were no casualties. And I think afterwards he said, "You were trying to assassinate me. We're going to get you." And like, all right, fuck off. Like, you haven't been assassinating people this whole time. The 2 other drones were intercepted, the Israeli military said, adding that more than 100 rockets were fired at northern Israel from Lebanon, killing 1 person and injuring at least 13. The proxies of Iran who today tried to assassinate me and my wife made a bitter mistake. Said the fucking vampire. Iran-aligned Hezbollah has been trading fire with Israel since October last year. Hezbollah did not claim responsibility for the Caesarea drone attack, but said it carried out several rocket attacks on northern and central Israel. The attacks on Saturday came a day after the group announced a new phase in the fighting. So they're just like, wasn't us. Maybe it was the Easter Bunny that fucked up your shit. It wasn't us. And of course, Iran said, the same thing. Iran denies any role in drone attack on Netanyahu's house. Iran's permanent mission to the UN has denied that Tehran played any role in the drone attack that targeted the home Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Saturday, which caused no casualties. We reject the baseless allegations made by the Zionist regime regarding Iran's involvement, the mission said, according to the Tehran Times. Iran's mission said Hezbollah was behind the attack, but so far, so they sold Hezbollah. Hezbollah's like, we didn't do it. Somebody did. But so far, the Lebanese group has not taken responsibility. We've already responded to the regime's previous crimes, and this action was taken by the Lebanese Hezbollah, the Iranian mission said. So they're doing the Spider-Man, the dual Spider-Man. Iran and Hezbollah are pointing at each other like, they did it. No, you did it. No, you did it. Stop it. I can't be mad at you. The denial from Iran comes from as Israeli officials are pointing the finger at Tehran for the attack and calling for a response. Israeli Foreign Minister Israel Katz rejected the denial, calling Iran's statement lies. That hurt. The primary proxy, the tentacle, giggity, Iran created, funded, armed, trained, and now controls in all its operations, is subtly portrayed as an independent entity. Katz wrote on the tweeters, "Your lies and false pretenses won't help you. You are responsible." I love how they're just like, Iran and the Hezbollah is like, maybe, maybe it fell off a truck. Israel's Channel 12 reported that the drone attack on Netanyahu's home could give Israel greater legitimacy for a wider range of targets. It may be an inside job, John. Maybe they bombed themselves. Kind of like 9/11. In its expected attack on Iranian territory, Israel has been preparing to strike Iran in retaliation. You know the thing. We've been saying that forever, since October 1st. U.S. and Israeli officials believe the planned Israeli attack on Iran, which is expected to happen before the U.S. presidential election on November 5th, will likely provoke a major regional war. Iran is warning that it will respond to any kind of Israeli attack on its territory. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, these names, it said yesterday that Iran had already picked targets it will strike in response to an Israeli attack. Any attack on Iran is considered crossing red lines, and we will not let it go unanswered, he said. I know. And I ran so far away. I didn't blow up your house. Boop, 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 boop. Meanwhile, hundreds of illegal Israeli settlers stormed the Al-Aqsa Mosque in the latest act of provocation. Why? Because they're assholes. Hundreds of illegal Israeli settlers have intruded into the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound in the occupied old city of Al-Quds under the protection of Israeli forces in yet another provocative move against Palestinian worshippers. Some 1,390 illegal Israeli settlers broke into the compound through the Moroccan Gate, also known as the Mughrabi Gate, on Sunday, according to the Jordan-run Islamic Waqf Department, which is in charge of Al-Aqsa Mosque affairs. Far-right Israeli Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir joined the settlers in performing Talmudic rituals at the holy site while Israeli forces prevented Palestinian worshippers from entering the mosque, witnesses said. Ben-Gvir's office, however, said the extremist minister did not enter the site but welcomed Israeli settlers at the entrance of the complex. Well, he's just the doorman at the Ritz-Carlton there. Hardline Israeli officials and settlers regularly storm the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound in the occupied city, a provocative move that infuriates Palestinians. Such mass settler break-ins almost always take place at the behest of Tel Aviv-backed temple groups and under the auspices of Israeli police in Al-Quds. The Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, which sits just above the Western Wall Plaza, houses both the Dome of the Rock and the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is a very sacred Muslim site. The Jewish visitation of Al-Aqsa is permitted, but as part of a decades-old agreement between Jordan, the custodian of Islamic and Christian sites in Al-Quds, and Israel in the wake of Israel's occupation of East Al-Quds in 1967, non-Muslim worship at the compound is prohibited. So you can visit, you just can't worship there unless you're Muslim. The latest intrusion by Israeli settlers comes as the occupying regime keeps its bloody war machine going in the Gaza Strip, which left at least 42,603 Palestinians killed, mostly women and children, since October 7th last year. Yeah. So just kind of putting salt in the wound there. And it's just, they're not just fucking with people. They're trying to keep all the medical attention away, too. Israel bans at least 6 medical aid missions from entering Gaza. At least 6 medical aid missions currently operating inside the Gaza Strip received orders this week from the Israeli government that they would no longer be allowed access to their patients in the enclave. The World Health Organization made the announcement on Thursday and informed the medical groups after Israel told the UN agency about their decision through text messages. Among those groups are Fajr Scientific, GLIA, and the Palestinian American Medical Association. The Washington Post reported that WHO said it was concerned about the impact the order would have on Gaza's strained medical system, adding that the emergency medical teams in Gaza are essential to keeping the system running, as only 17 of the 36 hospitals in Gaza remain in operation. Israel's coordinator of government activities in the territories, Kogat, appeared to give no reason for the decision to ban the missions from Gaza. Who pressed for urgent and sustained facilitation of entry for EMTs into Gaza and said there has been widespread malnutrition and rampant disease across the Strip. No food or aid of any kind has entered northern Gaza since the first of this month amid a massive ground operation launched by the Israeli army. This is a death sentence for thousands of patients, the International Center of Justice for Palestinians said in a statement. These organizations have collectively sent hundreds of medical delegates to provide life-saving aid to sick and injured Palestinians in Gaza over the past 12 months. The medical teams have treated over 15,000 patients since October last year and dispatched specialists in trauma surgery, pediatric medicine, and neurosurgery, according to the ICJP statement. The ICJP added that there may be other groups affected by this order. The entire population of the Gaza Strip remains at risk of famine and is currently experiencing an emergency level of acute food insecurity, starvation. A global hunger monitoring body has said, with the situation expected to deteriorate as Israel tightens its siege on the north of the besieged Palestinian enclave. The obstruction of humanitarian access and the intensity of the bombing campaign have significantly increased the risk of famine for residents in northern Gaza as food, water, fuel, and medical supplies dwindle. In a new UN-backed assessment published on Thursday, the Integrated Food Security Phase classification said around 1.84 million people across Gaza are living through high levels of acute food insecurity, including 133,000 people who are suffering catastrophic food insecurity. I believe we told you about that last week. The IPC, which conducted its new analysis between September 30th and October 4th, is expecting the number of people experiencing catastrophic hunger to nearly triple in the coming months. And they didn't say why they're limiting it, but in the past they've used excuses like, oh, well, these ambulances and healthcare workers are carrying weapons. Ellen, what's up, lady? Ellen Jimerson on the Facebooks. I think you are our Facebook audience today. Thank you, dear. I appreciate you. Appreciate the news. Thank you. Thank you for watching. So we doing our best around here. So you remember last week that the Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar was assassinated. And this time around, they're kind of keeping their cards close to the vest, as it were, as to who the successor is going to be. This is from the New Arab. Hamas to conceal successor of Yahya Sinwar mulls over contenders. And so this is him right here on the left. And this is Ismail Haniyeh on the right. They were both assassinated. Hamas issued a statement this week saying they will be keeping the identity of the individual set to replace Yahya Sinwar as leader of the group concealed. The decision to hide the successor's identity comes following Israel's killing of Sinwar earlier this month and the killing of Haniyeh in Iran in July. Multiple sources quoted in local media have said the group is currently discussing who the new successor will be, reiterating that they will keep the decision under wraps due to growing security risks. And this kind of has something to do, morning drinking is the best, with the concerns about infiltration into Hezbollah's ranks, Hamas's ranks, the whole beeper exploding thing. So this time around, they're kind of keeping things on the QT. Multiple sources quoted in local media have said the group is currently discussing who the new successor will be, reiterating that they will keep the decision under wraps due to growing security risks. According to a report in Al-Sharq Al-Awsat, too early for those names. The decision is aimed at giving the new chief more freedom to operate and avoid Israeli assassination attempts. That sounds practical. A source added that keeping the information hidden will also help maintain internal order and protect the group's structure. There are several potential candidates that are being considered. Local reports have said one potential successor is Mohammed Darwish, also known as Abu Omar Hassan, who currently holds the role of head of Hamas's Shura Council. He has gained more attention since the killing of Hania, appearing more often in official meetings. Another option is Khalil al-Hayya, Sinwar's deputy. Al-Hayya became a notable figure in Gaza following Sinwar's killing. He currently leads Hamas in Gaza and is responsible for engaging in ceasefire talks and setting the terms for a potential deal. A key contender could also be Khalid Mashal, who led Hamas's political bureau for around 21 years and now heads the group's external branch. Some reports that Mashal had previously rejected key roles due to health reasons. However, it is unclear if he would accept the role. It would be unclear if he would accept this role. Other names suggested have been Mohammed Nazal, originally from the West Bank and has been part of Hamas since it was founded, and Musa Abu Marzul, who co-founded Hamas and was the first head of the group's political bureau. Hamas has previously concealed the identity of its leaders, particularly after Israel assassinated the founder, Ahmed Yassin, and his successor, Abdel Aziz al-Rantisi. Sinwar was killed on October 17th, with his last moments alive showing him wearing military attire and draped in a keffiyeh as he was engaged in battle with Israeli forces in Tel al-Sultan. In a last act of defiance, Sinwar can be seen attempting to hit the drone camera that captured the footage with a stick. So, yeah. They're keeping things under wraps for the new leadership there. But unfortunately, if there is infiltration, somebody is going to find out sooner or later. Game.film. Good morning and happy Monday to you too, my friend. France has recently said that they were going to ban weapons, but not the defensive kind. But also, apparently, there's some sort of naval trade show that they told Israel to fuck off. And Israel says, all right, well, I'll see you in court, bitch. Israel to take legal action against Macron over naval trade show ban. There he is. I do not care about you, Israel. Give me a bagel. And some brie. Delicious. Israeli Foreign Minister Israel Katz said yesterday he had ordered his ministry to start legal proceedings against French President Emmanuel Macron after Paris banned Israeli firms from participating in an upcoming military naval trade show. The decision to bar Israeli firms is the latest incident in a row fueled by the Macron government's unease over Israel's conduct in the wars in Gaza and Lebanon. Euronaval, organizer of the November 4th through 7th event in Paris, said in a statement last week that the French government had informed it that Israeli delegations were not allowed to exhibit stands or show equipment, but could attend the trade show. The decision affected 7 firms, it said. So you can show up. You can pay a ticket to get in, but you ain't gonna get a booth. No booth for you. I have instructed the foreign ministry to take legal and diplomatic action against French president decision to prevent Israeli companies from showcasing their products at the Salon Euronaval exhibition in Paris next month, Katz said in a statement on the tweeters. The boycott of Israeli companies for the second time or the imposition of unacceptable conditions are undemocratic measures. That's funny. That are not acceptable between friendly nations. I urge President Macron to cancel them entirely. Get somebody to change your shitty diapers, Israel. I think they need that trade show too, because as we've reported here, this whole genocide thing is not good for business, and basically, Israel's economy is taking a severe morning dump. The war on Lebanon, Gaza dealing major financial blows to Israel, according to a most recent report. Israeli media have admitted to the significant economic and financial losses the occupation is enduring due to the ongoing wars on both fronts with Gaza and Lebanon, with reports revealing the extent of these losses, shedding light on their long-term impact on the Israeli economy. On the Lebanese front, Yedioth Ahronoth reported that Since the war in Lebanon escalated, its daily cost has exceeded $500 million shekels. That's 135 million American per day. Per day. The newspaper emphasized that this figure is expected to rise further in the near future. Yeah, especially if it gets into a regional war. The report detailed that the costs have increased significantly due to the recent mobilization of tens of thousands of reserve soldiers and the deployment of several military divisions into Lebanon for the first time since the outbreak of the war in October last year, with Hezbollah's operations continuing and its missiles and drones reaching deep into the occupied territories. The massive expenses have further ballooned in recent weeks. This includes the high cost of large amounts of ammunition and the need to fire hundreds of expensive interceptor missiles, according to the newspaper. And it was funny as one of the first attacks by Hezbollah, when they shot like about 200 of those, but no, actually it was before that. They sent over these trash cheap drones, and Israel was intercepting them with these highly expensive interceptors. So it's basically just like, you're out there with a slingshot and somebody's shooting at you with like, an AR-15 and wasting all their ammo on you. Yedioth Aharonoth also noted that these additional costs have been driven by the surge in missile and drone launches, primarily from Lebanon, as well as missile strikes from Iran and drone attacks originating from Iraq and Yemen. Additionally, voila! Is that a real thing? Because I couldn't work at a place called Voila, because I would just be doing that. Voila! And people would say, you're fired. Voila News website revealed further details about the high cost of ammunition used by the Israeli occupation forces in Lebanon. According to a senior IOF official, that's Israeli Occupation Force official, quoted by the website, the cost of the ammunition used in the September 27, 2024 attack on Beirut's southern suburb, which resulted in the martyrdom of Hezbollah Secretary General Saeed Hassan Nasrallah, reached 25 million shekels, 6.7 million bucks. In a similar assault on the southern suburb, the official noted that the IOF used ammunition that cost 20 million shekels, or $5.3 million. Israeli media have also highlighted the staggering expenses of the ongoing war in Gaza. According to the Jerusalem Post, the war that has raged for over a year on the Gaza front is extremely costly in both resources and lives. The newspaper cited a March headline from The Economist, which asked, "Can Israel afford the war?" It revealed that the Israeli occupation forces wasted 30 billion shekels, that's $8 billion, in the last 3 months of 2023, a figure amounting to 2% of the Israeli gross domestic product. So yeah, how much is genocide? It ain't cheap, that's for sure. But, as long as their bitch United States is helping them out, they're going to extend it as long as possible. That's the thing. It's like the United States people in the United States say, "Oh, I wish there was something we could do to stop these atrocities. Oh man, why can't we do?" It's like, tighten up the purse strings, bitch. Stop giving them shit, and then maybe they'll quit, because then they'll run out of shit. I lived in New York for a while, and I remember the New York City Marathon. And they have a lot of sponsors because, it's a lot of rich people involved in that. And, I guess it takes a lot of money to block off streets. I mean, that's pretty much it. It's a marathon, and you get those little paper numbers that you put around there. But activists have urged the New York City Marathon to drop Indian company Tata, giggity, over links to Israel. In Spanish, that means, that's Tata. Never mind. I'm going in a dark, dirty place. India's largest business conglomerate, Tata Group, is complicit in Israel's ongoing occupation of Palestine and should be dropped as the lead sponsor of the New York City Marathon, a group of activists said at the launch of a new campaign targeting India's involvement in the war on Gaza. The TCS New York City Marathon, organized by New York Roadrunners, a nonprofit based in the city, is considered the largest marathon in the world. In 2023, more than 51,000 runners participated in the event. I remember that too, because where I lived in Brooklyn, it was like right at the end of the street. They ran right through there on their way to Queens. And I was always pissed off because I had to get to the Stop and Shop and get my victuals, and I had to watch out for those fuckers. The campaign dubbed "Ta Ta Bye Bye" was launched. That is pretty clever. "Ta Ta Bye Bye" was launched on Thursday by the New York City-based South Asian Left. That's Salam. It accuses Tata Consultancy Services, TCS, a subsidiary of the Tata Group, of playing a critical role in enabling Israel's genocidal and apartheid regime. The group alleges that the Indian company, through its various arms, maintains several business relationships with the Israeli government, including the manufacturing of weapons, as well as the provision of IT and cloud services for the Israeli military. We are demanding Tata close all its connections with the Zionist entity and divest from them. We are demanding the New York Roadrunner to drop TCS, said Aman, an organizer with Salam who spoke to Middle East Eye and asked to be identified by their first name. Tata partners with Israeli defense firms, directly enhancing Israel's military capabilities, Aman added. The organizer said Tata invests in Israel's high-tech and financial ecosystems and has a history of supporting startups working on potential defense applications. The decision to target Tata in New York City, the organizers explained, stemmed from the company's visibility in the United States and its significant role in the American economy. Tata employs close to 50,000 people in North America across sectors such as mining, engineering, steel, and coffee. Aman said Tata is heavily involved in defense projects and collaborates with Israeli contractors, contributing to military operations in occupied Palestinian territories. At the same time, it has a very benevolent image, and it uses this image to whitewash its crimes, Aman added. Bodacious Tata. Stop it, gamer. Game.film. You rascal, you. We want to dispel the narrative, and we want to let people know that there is no good capital here. According to TCS, the company works in Israel's public sector on various digital ventures, including Project Nimbus, which provides cloud storage for the Israeli government, including the defense ministry and military. Project Nimbus itself has been at the center of a revolt among Amazon and Google employees in the U.S. who have repeatedly urged their companies to withdraw from the $1.2 billion deal over its connection with the Israeli military. These services are essential to Israel's military operations and its broader system of digital control, which enables the surveillance and repression of Palestinian civilians. TCS has formed deep partnerships with Israeli banks and ministries, embedding itself within Israel's apartheid economy, Salam said in a statement. New York Roadrunner, TCS, and the Tata Group did not respond to MEE's, that's Middle East Eye's, request for comment on the story. The Tata Group, through its subsidiary Tata Advanced Systems Limited, has also been closely involved with Israel Aerospace Industries since at least 2008. When the two companies signed a landmark agreement in 2008, Iksat Nissan, IAI president and chief executive officer, described the memorandum of understanding to produce a wide range of defense projects as reflecting IAI's evolving relationship with India and with Indian industries. Since normalizing ties with Israel in 1992, India has become a significant patron of Israeli technology, spanning sectors such as defense, agriculture, cybersecurity, and water preservation, although this partnership is often seen as the work of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Indian weapon companies, tech firms, and universities began strengthening ties with Israel well before Modi's rise to power. Over the past decade, Indian-Israeli military ties have reached unprecedented levels, with Indian companies purchasing upwards of 46% of Israeli weapons and co-manufacturing them in factories across the country. Salam said the Tata Group not only supplies Israel with electronics and weapon components, but also sells Land Rovers that are turned into armored vehicles for use in the occupied Palestinian territory for patrol, reconnaissance, and combat. And, they strap, human shields on there too. The Tata Group owns Jaguar Land Rover Automotive PLC, which manufactures the vehicle. The organizers with Salam told Middle East Eye that as Indian companies' complicity in the occupation of Palestine grows, South Asian activists living in the U.S. have a responsibility to draw attention to and take action against companies aiding Israel. In New York City, there is a huge presence of capital that directly supports and provides critical infrastructure for the Zionist regime. This is where we want to target them, Amman said. So, and that's what you have to do. You have to get them to divest, but it has to be in their own interest to do so, because they're not going to do it on moral grounds. You have to find a way to convince them that, look, you're going to lose a fuck ton of money if you don't divest, and maybe at that point they go, all right, you got me. So Netanyahu has some wonderful friends and advisors, and one of them's going to court over some shit he said. So former Netanyahu advisor to appear in court over Gaza genocide comments. There he is right there. Looks like a human potato head with glasses there. A former Israeli diplomat and senior advisor to Bibi is going to appear in court over his latest comments about the Tel Aviv regime's bloody war against Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. According to Australian investigative journalist Peter Cronau, opening statements have been heard at the private prosecution of Mark Regev at a court in Melbourne. Regev is being charged with advocacy for genocide, section 80.2d of the Australian Criminal Code, for public comments advocating for genocide of the Palestinian people. During an interview with Australia's public broadcaster ABC Radio, that's Australian Broadcasting Company, earlier this month, Cronau wrote in a post published on his Twitter account on Monday. He noted that the former Israeli diplomat's remarks inciting genocide by advocating starvation to be inflicted on the residents of Gaza were made on October 10th. Cronau further said that Regev was served in the Israeli-occupied territories a few weeks ago with the charge sheet and summons. The case against Netanyahu's former senior advisor was filed by Aboriginal Australian activist Robbie Thorpe and lawyer Daniel Taylor. This comes as Palestinian medical sources in the Gaza Strip say at least 26 people have been killed in Israeli attacks on the besieged coastal territory since the start of the day. Among the fatalities, 18 Palestinians were in the Jabalia refugee camp in northern Gaza, where Israeli forces have been carrying out intense bombardment and ground assault for the last 17 years. An estimated 400,000 Palestinians are trapped in the northern Gaza Strip, and it is believed that 500 people have been killed as a result of the Israeli siege of the area. Residents say they have been cut off from supplies of food and water. And we told you about that already. So somebody's taken a page out of Jose Vega's playbook. Good morning, Dee. It's good to see you. Around the World with Dee and Friends. Special announcement later in the show. As an Australian lawmaker told King Charles III, "You are not my king." He looks more like the Burger King there. Look at that. Just, hey, I just made a royal poop in my pants. And this guy's like, you ain't kidding, man. I smell it. He's like, hey, dude, go to the bathroom. There's always a story in these pictures. A reception of King Charles III and Queen Camilla in the... Is she queen? Can she still be queen? I guess so, if she's married to the king. In the Parliament House in Canberra has been interrupted by an obscene rant from an Indigenous Australian lawmaker. After the British monarch finished his address to the gathering on Monday, Independent Senator Lydia Thorpe stepped forward and confronted him. You committed genocide against our people. Give us our land back. Give us back what you stole from us, our bones, our skulls, our babies, our people. You destroyed our land, she shouted. The lawmaker, who was wearing a native fur cloak, demanded that a treaty be agreed with First Nations peoples. Australia remains one of the few countries in the British Commonwealth that has not signed an agreement between the state and the Indigenous peoples. Give us a treaty. We want a treaty in this country, she said. This is not your land. You are not my king. And fuck the colony, Thorpe shouted while being escorted out of the hall by security. Let me see if I can pull this up here. Is this going to work? We'll see here. Okay, so...
You committed genocide against our people. Give us our land back. Give us what you stole from us. Our bones, our skulls, our babies, our people. You destroyed our land. Give us a treaty. We want a treaty
And then they cut over to this asshole, and he's like, man, what just happened? What? Who's that? Was that Kamala Harris? Anyway, so yeah, let me get this back here. Yeah, the Daily Mail reported that King Charles and Queen Camilla were seen laughing off the senator's demands. Earlier in the day, Thorpe, an advocate for indigenous sovereignty, took part in a protest outside the Australian War Memorial, which was visited by the royals. The lawmaker reportedly had a brief altercation with police and barely avoided arrest. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, which is a delicious cheese, I highly, recommend that, told the royal couple that the people in the country have great respect for them. Your majesties are very welcome here, as he pulled Charles' dick out of his mouth. Former Prime Minister Tony Abbott accused Thorpe of engaging in unfortunate political exhibitionism, according to the SBS News. According to the Australian Museum, there were at least 270 massacres carried out by the colonists against Aboriginal Australians between the late 18th and early 20th century, as part of a state-sanctioned and organized attempts to eradicate First Nations people. Due to those actions, the Indigenous population in Australia reduced from an estimated 1 to 1.5 million to less than 100,000 by the early 1900s, it says. That kind of sounds like the United States with the Indigenous people here. That's not yo cheese. What's up, Bella? Good to see you, brother man. Yeah, so good on her, right? We need more of this shit, not just here in the United States, but around the world. Call out these motherfuckers, these fucking imperial cocksuckers. Meanwhile, in Moldova, they're looking to get into the EU. Moldova narrowly votes for EU membership amid fraud claims. Bum, bum, bum. Moldovans have narrowly chosen yes in a referendum to secure the country's membership of the European Union, say the electoral authorities, in a vote marred by allegations of Russian meddling amid the war in neighboring Ukraine. With nearly all votes counted on Monday, the yes vote was slightly ahead at 50.39%, while the no camp, long ahead since the start of counting, stood at 49.61%, according to results published by the Election Commission. Meanwhile, an EU spokesman said Moldova's referendum on joining the EU happened with unprecedented interference by Russia or its proxies. Moldova was facing really unprecedented intimidation and foreign interference by Russia and its proxies ahead of the vote, the spokesperson said. The referendum came as President Maya Sandu, also running for re-election, blamed an unprecedented assault on our country's freedom and democracy. Hours earlier, partial results had shown between 55 to 57% unwilling to commit to joining the EU. Israeli reservists tell... okay, that's something else. All right. But and meanwhile, in Russia, the Kremlin says Moldova's elections were not free and results raise many questions. I didn't know he had a mustache. I'm just realizing now he had his mustache. That's nice. I like good mustache. If you're going to do a mustache, do it right. Moldova's election was not free, and the election showed a hard-to-explain increase of votes in favor of President Maya Sandu, and the European Union Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said today, what we see is a mechanically hard-to-explain rate of increase in votes in favor of Sandu and in favor of those referendum participants who favored an EU orientation, Peskov said. A knife-edge majority of 50.17% voted yes in the pivotal referendum on joining the EU. Nearly final results showed on Monday after Sandu said Sunday's twin votes had been marred by unprecedented outside interference. Peskov described Moldova's election campaign as unfree, complaining that the opposition had been denied the opportunity to campaign and had been subjected to repression by the authorities. They were persecuted, they were thrown into prisons, they were interrogated, they were not allowed into the country, the media were closed, internet resources were blocked, and so on, Peskov said. In the early hours today, Sandu addressed Moldovan citizens, saying there was clear evidence that criminal groups working together with foreign forces hostile to our national interests had sought to buy off 300,000 votes. If she is saying that she did not receive votes because of certain criminal groups, she must present evidence. And none of these people ever present evidence. They never do. And it would be nice for Mrs. Sandu to explain such a large number of voices which dissent from her line. Are these also criminal gangs, or does she mean that Moldovan citizens who do not support her are associated with criminal gangs? There are a lot of nuances here. So, a lot of drama there in Moldova. Meanwhile, Russia's got its own kettle of fish to worry about. Russia's largest explosives plant attacked in the night of over 100 drones. On Sunday, Russia's defense ministry announced that over 100 Ukrainian drones were downed over several regions of Russia overnight as Kiev's cross-border drone operations have persisted and even been ramped up. Some apparently made it through, however. The military and its anti-air defense systems had thwarted an attempt by the Kiev regime to carry out a terrorist attack using an aircraft-type UAV against targets on the territory of the Russian Federation, the ministry said. In particular, the Ministry of Defense tallied that it intercepted or destroyed 110 UAVs, and nearly half of those were down over Kursk, not far from the border. Dozens of other drones were intercepted over Lipetsk region and Nizhny Novgorod and Oryolo regions. Holy fuck, I butchered that one. When you don't read it beforehand, you get what you get. One was also down near Moscow. The intended targets of the Saturday night attacks included more energy infrastructure and military sites and likely airports. But there are reports that some of the drones made it through Russian defenses, including on Russia's largest explosives factory, located in the Nizhny Novgorod. The sprawling state-owned complex appears to have been hit. A source in Ukraine's SBU security service told Newsweek that drones belonging to the agency, as well as Kiev's Special Operations Forces and its GUR military intelligence arm, struck the Sverdlov plant in the city of Dzerzhinsk overnight, just west of the regional capital in Russia's Nizhny Novgorod region. You got to put Z's in everything, Russia? Seriously? Nizhny Novgorod regional governor Gleb, they're just making up words. Gleb Nicotine, what? Said on Sunday that air defenses and electronic warfare systems had repelled a drone attack around the industrial zone in Dzerzhinsk. He did not specify the target of the attack. Several Russian telegram channels, often used as sources of information in lieu of official statements, reported that Ukraine had targeted the Sverdlov explosives, chemicals, and ammunition factory in Dzerzhinsk. Yeah, so boom, boom, boom. The war continues there for as long as it does. Iran is protesting EU support for United Arab Emirates over disputed islands. I didn't think there was islands in the desert, but I guess so. Iran summoned the ambassador of Hungary, whose country holds the rotating European Union presidency, to protest a joint EU Gulf Cooperation Council statement on islands controlled by Iran but claimed by the UAE, state media reported yesterday. The statement, published after the first summit between the two regional blocs on Wednesday, said, "We call on Iran to end its occupation of the three islands of the United Arab Emirates, Greater Toomb, Lesser Toomb, and Abu Musa, which constitutes a violation of the sovereignty of the UAE and the principles of the Charter of the UN." The islands located near the Strait of Hormuz, a globally vital shipping lane, have been disputed between the United Arab Emirates and Iran for decades. Tehran has controlled the islands since 1971 at the end of British imperial rule over them. The Hungarian ambassador was summoned to the Iranian Foreign Ministry to protest against the repetition of certain baseless claims in the joint declaration from the leaders of the EU and the GCC, the official IRNA news agency reported. The Foreign Ministry called the EU stance thoughtless, irresponsible, and devoid of any legal basis. On Monday, the European Union accused Tehran of supplying missiles and drones to Russia for use in its war against Ukraine and imposed fresh sanctions on the country. I believe that's last Monday. In April of last year, Iran named an ambassador to the UAE for the first time in nearly 8 years as part of improving diplomatic relations with the Gulf Arab states. As you know, Iran is a very oil-rich country, and they also have nuclear power too. But apparently, this energy is being wasted at a pretty good clip. Energy wastage in Iranian buildings at $9 billion per year. Wow. Some $9 billion worth of energy is wasted in Iranian buildings each year, according to figures provided by an industry source. Secretary of Iranian Syndicate of Mechanical, Electrical, and Industrial Companies, Ismiq, said on Sunday that energy wastage in Iranian buildings is 2 times the global average of around 20%. Zara Hakimpoker said that Iranian buildings consume around 50 billion cubic meters of natural gas per year, of which some 20 billion, why did they do it at BCM? Some 20 billion cubic meters is lost due to insufficient insulation, as well as using substandard heating and cooking devices. Hakimpokur said that buildings also waste some 33 billion kilowatt hours of electricity each year from a total of 83 billion kilowatt hours supplied to them by the national electrical grid. If we calculate the amount of wasted gas and electricity in the country's buildings, we have some 6 billion worth of electricity waste and 3 billion worth of natural gas waste, she said. Pardon me, adding that that solving the energy inefficiency issue in Iran needs a strong public determination. The comments came during a meeting in Tehran where industry figures discussed ways to boost energy efficiency in the Iranian buildings. Mohammad Hashemi, a board member at Ismiq, said that some 70% of the energy produced in Iran each year is used in buildings and mechanical and electrical installations in the country. Hashemi said windows, doors, ducts, and heating devices are responsible for a bulk of energy wastage in the Iranian buildings. Reza Haji Karim, another Ismiq board member, said in the meeting that Iran consumes the equivalent of $170 billion worth of energy each year, including 300 billion cubic meters of natural gas. Haji Karim said the country is the 6th largest consumer of hydrocarbon products in the world, and its daily use of energy is equivalent daily use 7 billion oil barrels. Yikes. That is a lot. Man, get some get some foam and some duct tape, put it around these fucking things, man. Meanwhile, the Houthis have been a thorn in the side of Israel, and particularly the U.S. with trying to blow up their ships and whatnot. But apparently they've had U.S. employees held hostage there for some time. So U.S. concerned over safety of employees held by Houthis in Yemen. The U.S. Embassy in Yemen voiced concerns on Sunday over the safety of its employees held by the Houthi group. It's been 3 years since the Houthis unlawfully detained U.S. government local staff, the embassy said in a statement. Several of our Yemeni colleagues may now face prosecution on false charges. We fear for their safety and will not rest until these individuals and all detained UN, NGO, and diplomatic staff are released. Since 2021, the Houthis have intermittently detained employees of diplomatic missions and international organizations, accusing them of espionage. In June of last year, the group broadcast videos purportedly showing confessions from Yemeni detainees admitting to espionage activities, although their identities were not revealed. The Houthis said that they will release the detained UN staff once their innocence is proven, as per a July 2023 statement by the group's unrecognized government. Tension has escalated between Houthis and Washington over the U.S. support for Israel's brutal offensive that we told you about. Ever since the Yemeni group has targeted Israeli-linked cargo ships in the Red Sea and the nearby Gulf of Aden in solidarity with the Gaza Strip, inviting retaliatory attacks by the U.S. and the U.K. So, some good news in Egypt, apparently. Egypt declared malaria-free by the World Health Organization. No malaria for you. Egypt has been certified as malaria-free, with the World Health Organization calling the achievement truly historic and the culmination of nearly a century of work to stamp out the disease. Malaria is as old as Egyptian civilization itself, but the disease that plagued pharaohs now belongs to its history and not its future. Oh, that's pretty clever. WHO chief Tedros Adhanom, that last name, said in a statement Sunday, "This certification of Egypt as malaria-free is truly historic and a testament to the commitment of the people and government of Egypt to rid themselves of this ancient scourge." Globally, 44 countries and 1 territory have now been certified as malaria-free. Certification is granted by the WHO when a country has proven that the chain of indigenous malaria transmission by Anopheles mosquitoes has been interrupted nationwide for at least the previous 3 consecutive years. A country must also demonstrate the ability to prevent the reestablishment of transmission. Not so good news in Kashmir. Gunmen kill 7 people working on a key tunnel project there. Gunmen have killed 7 people working on a strategic tunnel project in India-administered Kashmir and injured at least 5 others, according to officials there, in one of the worst attacks in the disputed region this year, targeting civilians. Police blamed the rebels fighting against Indian rule for what they called a terror attack at a camp for construction workers at Gangajir near the resort town of Sonamarg. Police said at least 2 attackers fired indiscriminately at officials and workers associated with the construction on Sunday night, killing 2 people on the spot. At least 10 others were taken to the hospital, where 5 more died. The attack came shortly after workers returned to their lodgings. The dead included 5 migrant workers and officials, 1 Kashmiri worker, and a Kashmiri doctor. Apparently, President Lula has a little boo-boo. He canceled his trip to the BRICS summit on medical advice. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva on Sunday canceled his trip to Russia for the BRICS summit following medical advice to temporarily avoid long-haul flights after hurting his head in an accident at home. In a statement, the presidential office said Lula, who was initially scheduled to depart at 5 p.m. local time on Sunday, will now participate in the BRICS meeting via video conference. The diplomatic forum, founded 15 years ago by major emerging markets, Brazil, Russia, India, China, has since expanded to include South Africa, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and the United Arab Emirates. According to a medical report issued by the Syro-Lebanese hospital in Brasilia, Lula was advised to avoid long-distance air travel, but is otherwise able to carry out his regular duties. The report added that Lula had suffered a laceration to the occipital region in the back of his head, and it was speculated that he fell down in the bathroom and conked his noggin in the back. So, we're always talking about hurricanes around these parts, right? Because it seems like there's one every week. Well, there was 2 going on. One of them was heading to Cuba. And hurricane hits Cuba amid massive blackouts, like if they didn't need any more trouble there. Hurricane Oscar slammed into Cuba on Sunday, bringing heavy rains and strong wind as the country's 10 million people were already grappling with a massive power outage. The storm struck shortly after the collapse of the island's largest power plant on Friday, which crippled the national grid and resulted in an almost countrywide blackout, according to reports. Oscar, classified as a Cat 1 hurricane with maximum sustained winds of nearly 80 miles per hour, made landfall in the eastern province of Guantanamo near the city of Barroca. By late Sunday, the hurricane had weakened to a tropical storm with 70-mile-per-hour winds, the U.S. National Hurricane Center said, adding that the storm could still cause significant flash flooding and mudslides in eastern areas. The hurricane's arrival comes as Cuba tries to recover from its worst blackout in at least 2 years, which left millions without power for 2 days last week. Electrical services were partially restored on Saturday before reportedly collapsing again. So this is them in the night. Ooh. And side note, I've been in a blackout before when when Hurricane Sandy hit New York, and half of Manhattan Island was in the dark. And let me tell you something, it was wild. Coming from Midtown and heading downtown on Broadway, when you're up on the hill there in Midtown, you could see this curtain of black. And I was riding my bike at the time, and I was going down, or maybe it wasn't Broadway. I was going down maybe 2nd Avenue, I think. And you just went into this black, and all you saw was like cops with flashlights and stuff like it. It's very, very surreal to see. But this is where the whole country was blacked out. The government has said it expects power restoration for most areas by tonight. Since power outages began, thousands of families have reportedly been left not just without electricity or air conditioning, but also without water, as supplies depend on electric pumps. Many people have resorted to cooking with firewood on the streets as food has started to rot in fridges. Most neighborhoods in the Cuban capital, Havana, were plunged into darkness, although some hotels and hospitals operated with emergency generators. Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel said Saturday that authorities were working hard to protect the people and economic resources given the imminent arrival of Hurricane Oscar. He also warned that the government would act severely against anyone who attempted to disturb public order during the blackout. I'm assuming that's like mostly looting. The warning comes as the storm and grid collapse add to Cuba's struggles with inflation and shortages of food, medicine, fuel, and water. He's blamed the crisis on the country's difficulties acquiring fuel and spare parts for its power plants, which he linked to a 6-decade-long U.S. trade embargo tightened by tougher sanctions imposed during Trump's presidency. Cuban Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez echoed the president's remarks, posting on the tweeters that Cubans appreciate the voices denouncing the U.S. blockade, the main cause of the limitations and damages suffered by our people. Cuba has, for decades, experienced frequent power outages and economic crises. In July of 2021, days-long blackouts sparked public anger, with thousands of protesters taking to the streets in demonstrations. So the other hurricane that was it went into Mexico's what was it? It was Hurricane Nadine. Now it's tropical storm. So at 11 a.m. Central Time on the 19th, and that was Saturday, satellite and radar images indicated that tropical storm Nadine made landfall in Belize, near Belize City, at around 11 a.m. Maximum sustained winds at landfall were estimated at 60 miles per hour, and from this place, hurricane hunters and surface observations, it went on to dissipate as it moved further inland. So, and here's what's going on right now as far as Oscar's concerned. So Oscar now is at 40 miles per hour, tropical storm here, and is projected to move to the northeast to graze the southeastern portion of the Bahamas, and then reportedly it's supposed to head back out into the Atlantic. So fingers crossed it won't be going this way, over here, because these folks have had enough of fucking hurricanes, and who hasn't, right? Wait, that's not supposed to be there. And our neighbors to the north in Canada are apparently really fucking up relations with India. Trudeau has wrecked Canada-India political relations, says expelled envoy. I guess this is the expelled envoy there. India's envoy to Canada, who's being expelled over what Ottawa says are links to the murder of a Sikh leader, insisted in an interview he was innocent and said Prime Minister Justin Trudeau had wrecked bilateral political ties but may remain unscathed. Both countries ordered out 6 diplomats in tit-for-tat moves, giggity, over Ottawa's allegations that New Delhi was targeting Indian dissidents on Canadian soil. This has been kind of an ongoing thing. Trudeau specifically tied the 6 to the murder of Sikh separatist Hardeep Singh Nijjar last year in British Columbia. Sanjay Kumar Verma, India's envoy to Canada, told CTV, that's Canadian television, that Trudeau had been relying on intelligence rather than evidence. How's that work? Yeah, that seems like we do that down here too. It's like we have intelligence that says, and well, your intelligence is not very bright, which is kind of ironic. Asked whether he had anything to do with Nijar's murder, Verma said nothing at all. No evidence was presented. This is politically motivated. Canada is home to the highest population of Sikhs outside their home state of Punjab, and demonstrations in favor of a separate homeland carved out of India have irked New Delhi. However, Verma said the episode had nothing to do with trade and cultural relations in Canada, which had two-way trade of $8.4 billion with India at the end of last fiscal year. Indians have also made up Canada's largest group of international students in recent years. There will be emotions on both sides, which may impact a few of those deals, but the larger picture is that I don't see much impact on non-political bilateral relations, Verma said. So, yeah, they're having a bit of a situation with India at the moment. One situation that's getting cleared up here in the United States is the Boeing strike. This is from Common Dreams. Strikes work. Boeing union workers win tentative contract with 35% wage increase. So this is by John Quealy again. He's a busy man over there at Common Dreams. Striking union members who work for the aerospace giant Boeing reached a tentative contract agreement Saturday after nearly 6 weeks on the picket line, demanding better wages and benefits. The International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers District 751, which had been on strike since September 13th, announced the breakthrough in a statement, and Boeing also confirmed that a deal had been reached. The tentative agreement, which will have to receive a majority from union members before being finalized, includes a 35% wage increase over 4 years of the contract, a larger signing bonus of $7,000, guaranteed minimum payouts in a new annual bonus program, and increased contributions to worker 401k retirement plans. 401k, what's that? I've heard of that in the past. With the help of acting U.S. Secretary of Labor Julie Su, we have received a negotiated proposal and resolution to end the strike, and it warrants presenting to the members and is worthy of your consideration, IAM's negotiating committee said in a message to members on Saturday. Oops, excuses. The union said it plans to hold a ratification vote as early as Wednesday, and that a 50% plus one majority is all that's needed to approve the deal. The fact the company has put forward an improved proposal is a testament to the resolve and dedication of the frontline workers who've been on strike and to the strong support they have received from so many, the Machinists Union said. Like many workers in America, IAM members at Boeing have sacrificed greatly for their employer, including during the pandemic when these workers were reporting to the factory as executives stayed at home. They wrote, these workers deserve to have all of those sacrifices recognized. Yay, Boeing! Now you get to build more shitty planes again. Good job, guys. We was talking about those self-driving cars and the scary robots that Elon Musk has. Well, apparently one of his self-driving vehicles did an oopsie and killed somebody. United States to probe Tesla's full self-driving system after pedestrian killed in low visibility. The U.S. government's Road Safety Agency is investigating Tesla's full self-driving system after getting reports of crashes and low visibility conditions, including one that killed a pedestrian. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration said in documents that it opened the probe on Thursday after the company reported 4 crashes when Tesla announced sun glare, fog, and airborne dust, and apparently someone going boo. I made that last part up. In addition to the pedestrian's death, another crash involved an injury. The agency said investigators will look into the ability of full self-driving to detect and respond appropriately to reduced roadway visibility conditions, and if so, the contributing circumstances for these crashes. The investigation covers roughly 2.4 million Teslas from the 2016 through 2024 model years. A message was left Friday seeking comment from Tesla, which has repeatedly said the system cannot drive itself and human drivers must be ready to intervene at all times. Last week, Tesla held an event at the Hollywood studio to unveil a fully autonomous robo-taxi. We showed you that. Without a steering wheel or pedals, Musk, who has promised autonomous vehicles before, said the company plans to have autonomous Models Y and 3 running without human drivers next year. Robotaxis without steering wheels would be available in 2026, starting in California and Texas, he said. The investigation's impact on Tesla's self-driving ambitions isn't clear. NHTSA would have to approve any robo-taxi without pedals or a steering wheel, and it's unlikely that would happen while the investigation is in progress. But if the company tries to deploy autonomous vehicles in its existing models, that likely would fall to state regulations. There are no federal regulations specifically focused on autonomous vehicles, although they must meet broader safety rules. NHTSA also said it would look into whether any other similar crashes involving full self-driving have happened in low visibility conditions, and it will seek information from the company on whether any updates affected the system's performance in those conditions. In particular, this review will assess the timing, purpose, and capabilities of such updates, as well as Tesla's assessment of their safety impact, the document said. Tesla reported the 4 crashes to NHTSA under an order from the agency covering all automakers. An agency database says the pedestrian who was killed in Rimrock, Arizona in November of 2023 after being hit by a 2021 Tesla Model Y. Rimrock is about 100 miles north of Phoenix. The Arizona Department of Public Safety said in a statement that the crash happened just after 5 p.m. November 27th on Interstate 17. 2 vehicles collided on the freeway, blocking the left lane. You might remember that story. A Toyota 4Runner stopped and 2 people got out to help with traffic control. A red Tesla Model Y then hit the 4Runner and one of the people who exited from it. A 71-year-old woman from Mesa, Arizona, was pronounced dead at the scene. The collision happened because the sun was in the Tesla driver's eyes, so the Tesla driver was not charged, said Raul Garcia, the public information officer for the department. Sun glare also was a contributing factor in the first collision, he added. Tesla has twice recalled full self-driving under pressure from NHTSA, which in July sought information from law enforcement and the company after a Tesla using the system struck and killed a motorcyclist near Seattle. The recalls were issued because the system was programmed to run stop signs at slower... Wait, what? The recalls were issued because the system was programmed to run stop signs at slower speeds, and because the system disobeyed other traffic laws. Both problems were to be fixed with online software evidence. We call that a California stop, folks, when you just kind of crawl up to the stop sign, you don't stop, and then you take off. Critics have said that Tesla's system, which uses only cameras to spot hazards, doesn't have proper sensors to be fully self-driving. Nearly all other companies working on autonomous vehicles use radar and laser sensors. It's always lasers. In addition to cameras to see better in the dark or poor visibility conditions. And there's more to this article here. I'll have the link in the description below. But this just raises the question like, oh, hey, CBC voter, good to see you. Now, these are just regular ass cars that are driving themselves, right? But they've been talking about like 18-wheelers being autonomous. Can you imagine like an 18-wheeler driving itself and then, oh, sun glare, it hurts, Poppy, and then just plowing through like a fucking 7-Eleven or some shit like that. TBNT, thanks, but no thanks. What is this one? Oh, okay, we got 2 more in the news block here. This is a long one. We might go to 11:30, y'all. Celebration turned lethal. 3 killed, 9 injured in a U.S. crowd shooting. Yes, it is. It's not America unless there's somebody getting shot. 3 people were killed and 8 more were injured after at least 2 armed individuals opened fire at a crowd celebrating a high school alumni football team's victory in Mississippi. That's my old neck of the woods, on Saturday morning. According to the AP, at least 2 shooters opened fire at a crowd of hundreds on an outdoor court hours after the game ended, according to the local sheriff. Almost 200 to 300 people were celebrating at a court several kilometers from Lexington, Mississippi. 2 deceased people were 19 years old, while the third was 25. No additional information about the fatalities was shared. And finally, 7 killed in a U.S. ferry dock collapse on Georgia's Sapelo Island. Sapelo? If you're from Georgia, let me know what the proper pronunciation is, as if I'm going to ever get these other pronunciations right. At least 7 people were killed after part of a ferry dock collapsed off the coast of Georgia, the authorities say, where crowds had gathered for an autumn celebration. The incident on Saturday caused at least 20 people to plunge into the Atlantic Ocean, with U.S. Coast Guard ships searching for missing people into the night. The accident took place during a celebration of Sapelo's Island's small Gulagichi community, who are the descendants of African slaves. Island residents, family members, and tourists gathered for Cultural Day, an annual event spotlighting the island's tiny community of Hog Hummock, home to a few dozen black residents. Why is black capitalized? I don't get that. The dock was crowded with people waiting for a ferry, said Tyler Jones, a spokesman for the Georgia Department of Natural Resources, which operates the dock and ferry boats that transport people between the island and the mainland. Sapelo Island is about 60 miles south of Savannah, reachable from the mainland by boat. Yes. So, obviously you can't celebrate sports ball without gunfire. That's right, CJ. But that's where we're at these days. Just pow, 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 pow. And I don't know, but banning guns is going to do it. I don't know if education is going to do it. I think there's deeper systemic and mental things at work. People are literally being driven crazy. And so, pow, 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 here come the lights. Here comes the lights out, I should say. When you call people terrorists and you're a TV station, well, sometimes the locals get a little, we don't like that shit,
The sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media. Unfortunately, some members are going to use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
So, in Iraq, protesters stormed a Saudi TV station that called resistance leaders terrorists. Protesters ransacked the Baghdad office of Saudi broadcaster M as in Mary, BC, early on Saturday after the channel broadcast a report that referred to resistance commanders, including Yahya Sinwar and Qasem Soleimani, as terrorists. The National reported that, according to an anonymous security officer with the Interior Ministry, more than 400 people entered the channel's office in the Al Jamia neighborhood after midnight. They started a fire in the yard and then broke into the building and damaged equipment and furniture. After Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar was killed by Israeli forces in Gaza on Wednesday, NBC broadcast a report entitled Millennium of Deliverance from Terrorists. The report discussed the alleged issue of terrorism in the region, referring to Sinwar as the latest terrorist to be killed. The report also described revered Iranian commander Qasem Soleimani, who was assassinated by the U.S. military in Baghdad in 2020, as a symbol of terrorism. The report also mentioned Abu Mahdi al-Muhandis, who was killed alongside Soleimani, and Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah, who was assassinated by Israel last month. The Palestinian Hamas movement condemned NBC for the provocative report against the movement and its leaders, labeling it a professional downfall and decline. Videos online showed the protesters waving flags of the Popular Mobilization Forces, PMU, and Kataib Hezbollah, one of the most prominent factions of the Islamic resistance in Iraq. The IRI. Protesters shouted no, no to America and no, no to Israel, which is a step up from death to America, which used to be the thing. The IRI is comprised of several armed factions enjoying support from Iran. The resistance factions have participated alongside Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Gaza, and Iran in the war against Israel, which is carrying out genocide against Palestinians. IRI factions have launched missiles and drones at Israeli targets, as well as at U.S. troops occupying northeast Syria and stationed at bases in Iraq, in an effort to expel them from both countries. And just a little clarification there. So the IRI is the resistance group. It's not the government, because the government in Iraq is bought and paid for, or basically stolen and installed with puppets by the United States. So the UN has been, saying, consulting with Captain Obvious here, as the expert accuses Israel and Western nations of free speech violations amid the Gaza war. Protest crackdowns, ban marches, media workers at risk. A UN expert on Friday accused Western nations and Israel of freedom of speech violations in the years since the Gaza war broke out. No conflict in recent times has threatened freedom of expression so seriously or so far beyond its borders than Gaza, UN Special Rapporteur Irene Khan told reporters as she presented her report. Global threats to freedom of expression arising from the conflict in Gaza. The Bangladeshi human rights lawyer who has been the special rapporteur on the promotion and protection of the right to freedom of opinion and expression since 2020, notably cited crackdowns on pro-Palestinian protests in Western democracies in the early months of the war. On U.S. university campuses, protests were harshly repressed, she said, alluding to the use of riot police to dislodge encampments. In Europe, she noted that Germany had imposed a ban on pro-Palestinian demonstrations last October, with some restrictions still in place on such protests in various German regions, but never on any pro-Israeli rallies. There have been all sorts of other restrictions also made in terms of slogans or scarves and so on, she said. France attempted a similar blanket ban last year, but was stymied by courts and now makes assessments on a case-by-case basis, she said, noting Belgium and Canada have similar approaches. She also pointed to targeted assassinations of journalists in Gaza and the occupied West Bank. We all know the deliberate killing of a journalist is a war crime, she said, lamenting the impunity with which such deaths have been met in recent conflict and years prior. The killing of journalists, destruction of press facilities, denying access to the international media, banning Al Jazeera and other actions by Israel seem to indicate the strategy of the Israeli authorities to silence critical journalism and obstruct documentation of possible international crimes, she said. Well put, lady. So Elon Musk is handing out cash around election time. That may be a no-no. U.S. Legal experts question Elon Musk's planned cash giveaways. That's where we're at, folks. It's a game show. It's a game show. There he is. He looks like a guy. He looks creepy. I mean, that guy looks creepy anyway, but look at that. He's like, I wish for your testicles to rest in my hand. I'll buy them. Tech billionaire Elon Musk's promise to give away $1 million per day until the United States election has drawn legal scrutiny, with experts warning the scheme could violate a prohibition on using cash to incentivize voting. Yeah, that's kind of a no-no. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro said Sunday that the plan to give money to registered voters in U.S. swing states who also have signed an online petition was deeply concerning, and that the law enforcement could take a look at the effort. Musk gave a $1 million check. I like it when they do it European like that and they use the Q in there. To an attendee of his America PAC event on Saturday in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, which aimed at rallying people behind Donald Trump. Musk obviously has a right to be able to express his views. He's made it very, very clear that he supports Donald Trump. I don't. Obviously, we have a difference of opinion, Shapiro said in an interview with NBC's Meet the Press program. I don't deny him that right, but when you start flowing this kind of money into politics, I think it raises serious questions. Yeah, I mean, it really is. I mean, I don't like that Shapiro guy, but, you're giving out cash. Come on. That, you're literally buying an election. But just like everything else, well, what can we do? Let's, we'll vote our way out of this. Yeah, keep voting your fucking way out of it, you dumbasses. And finally, in this little block of fun, you may have seen this yesterday with this Goomba, fucking Donald Trump at the McDonald's. During McDonald's stunt Trump dodges question on raising the minimum wage. So there we go. That's the propaganda. He goes, look at me and all these delicious fries. I make these fries. They're so good. Everybody's talking about my French fries. Well, what about me raising the minimum wage? Crickets. I need that guy with the sound bites that does the crickets. I love those crickets. Everybody talks about those crickets. Standing in the drive-through window of a McDonald's in the battleground state of Pennsylvania on Sunday, Republican presidential nominee and human thumbtack Donald Trump dodged a direct question about whether he supports raising the nation's paltry minimum wage after employees at the low-paying restaurant briefly walked him through the process of making French fries. I think these people work hard. They're great, Trump said in response to the minimum wage question. I just saw something, a process that's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to see. These are great franchises. These are great French fries. I love French fries. When reporters attempted for a second time to get an answer on the minimum wage, the former president moved on to a different question. Trump's visit to the Pennsylvania McDonald's during the final stretch of the 2024 race was widely characterized as a political stunt, aimed at bolstering the former president's claim to be a champion of the U.S. working class, despite his record of assailing labor protections and weakening an overtime pay rule put forth by his predecessor, leaving millions of workers behind. But yeah, those French fries, Don, right? After winning the 2016 election, Trump selected fast food executive Andrew Puzder, an opponent of raising the minimum wage and sub-minimum wage for tipped workers, as his pick to lead the U.S. Department of Labor. Of course he did. Putzer, I'm just calling Putz. Putz withdrew after it became clear he didn't have enough Senate support to be confirmed, which is shocking because they'll just approve anybody in the Senate. Ending the sub-minimum wage and raising the minimum wage would be the real happy meal for American workers. I see what you did there, Saru Jayaraman, the president of One Fair Wage. See, the real happy meal, you get it? See, because of the thing. While Trump panders to the wealthy, workers across Pennsylvania and the nation are still earning poverty wages. The New York Times reported that the McDonald's was closed to the public during Trump's visit and that the GOP nominee handed bags of food to pre-selected drive-through customers. McDonald's is viciously anti-union and until 2019 lobbied against minimum wage increases. Trump used the visit to attack his Democratic opponent, wine mom Kamala Harris, whose campaign said she worked at a California McDonald's in 1983 after her freshman year of college, where she went on to have her blossoming premiere as Willie Brown's dick sucker. McDonald's representatives have ignored media requests for information. The Times reported Trump claimed without evidence that Harris is lying about having worked at McDonald's. Who gives a shit? And then the rest is some bullshit. That's the thing about Common Dreams. They do some really good investigative reporting, but they really are kind of like leaning heavy on the shit lib side. So once they start dipping into those waters, I gotta get the fuck out of there. So sorry, I'm a little short. Headroom is like a thing. I'm very OCD about headroom. Baggity. Yeah, so we've come to the end of our journey here. But for folks, I know, sports ball is in the air. All your favorite teams. I think the Major League Baseball has the pennant race going on. Of course, you have the NFL is in full swing, about in the middle of their season, and there's always some sort of controversy that goes on in sports. Whether it's steroids or betting on it or cheating, and it's no different as far as there being controversy in the world of conkers. And you're like, the fuck you talking about? What the hell? What the hell's a conker? Well, as if you didn't know, which you probably didn't. Conkers controversy. World Tournament investigate claims of cheating with Steel Chestnut. Bum, dun, dun. Steel Chestnut was also my prison name when I was in Louisiana. The World Conquer Championships, that's this word right here, conquer, said Tuesday that it was investigating allegations of cheating after this year's men's winner was found to have a steel chestnut in his pocket. Or he was just happy to see him one or the other. More than 200 enthusiasts of the traditional game entered the annual competition on Sunday in the small village of Southwick in central England. Where's Anonymous? This is like up his alley. He probably knows these people. The game involves players using conkers, the glossy brown seeds from the horse chestnut tree, threaded onto a string to try and smash their opponent's chestnut. Yikes, that sounds like prison lingo. Each player takes 3 alternate strikes. Veteran player Dave Jenkins, 82, won the men's tournament, but organizers said they launched an investigation after claims that he may have used a steel chestnut. Really? The allegations were raised by Alistair Johnson Ferguson, who lost in the men's final against Jenkins after his conker disintegrated in one hit. You know, my conker disintegrated when I got into this cold swimming pool one time. The Telegraph newspaper reported, organizers confirmed a steel conker was found in Jenkins' pocket. Apparently he wasn't happy to see him. There was a steel conker in there. You could use that as lingo now. It's like, what are you doing? I'm scratching my steel conkers. Investigations were ongoing, but they said that it appeared unlikely that he was able to cheat under the scrutiny of judges. Jenkins has denied the allegations. And Jenkins is this guy right here, but they think, yes, he's the King Conquer. That's what they called him. The King Conquer. You know, I look for silly stories for at the end, you know, to kind of take the edge off of these, you know, obviously horrible stories. But then this one came across, I was like, there's so many double entendres. I cannot resist. And the guy kind of looks like, you know, like Lucky Charms dude, right? I'm not saying he's Irish, but look, apparently these are all chestnuts roasting on an open fire. If you try to roast a steel chestnut, then it probably like blows up in your face or something. Then you got some real controversy. Mother conquer. I know. You think love conquers all, but it's actually chestnuts. Yeah, so we got some peeps on tonight. I think Willie Bragg is he's got one scheduled for tonight. Willie, if you're still awake, you doing the are you doing the show tonight? Yay or nay? If he does, it's going to be on his YouTube channel. I think he does it on Twitch too as well. Of course, Around the World with Dee and Friends. Dee, I haven't made the promo yet, but Dee is going to be on ExtraBulla Live this Wednesday night. So we're going to be talking about all kinds of world events and stuff and how she got into doing her channel. And I think she started off KRTD. I don't know what she did before that. Maybe we can ask her those questions too. And of course, on Halloween, it's coming up, baby. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, so we're going to be screening the 1922 edition of Nosferatu, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific time on the old ExtraBulla channels. That's going to be on YouTube, Rockfin, Rumble, and the Facebook. I've been trying to find out how we can stream on Instagram and TikTok too, because apparently I put up this picture yesterday of the sign. I don't have it readily available, but the sign next to the Chicago River that basically said, you know, don't go swimming in this water, you know, don't touch it, don't even breathe around it, that kind of shit. And it got a lot of hits. And I was like, oh, cool. So we were thinking about maybe spreading our words and the words of our esteemed independent journalists over there as well. That's still a work in progress, but if those feet ever get off the ground, we'll let you know if that's happening or not. Because a lot of people I know, they're on Instagram, they're on TikTok, they like that kind of shit. So we try to stay technically relevant around here, hit as many avenues as we can. So yeah, I believe that's going to do it for us today. Tomorrow, I believe Willie's going to have Bragland on again. We'll see about that. And then I'll be back here with this shit Wednesday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Mountain, 7 a.m. Pacific time. Again, if you're new to the scene, if you want to give us a like, share, and subscribe, we appreciate that. Tell all your friends. If you don't have any friends, become a better person, become more personable, get out of your shell. Also, we've got donation links in the description below. If you want to become a Patreon member, you could do it for $1 a month. That's $12 a year. You could probably buy a candy bar with that. But there's also other things. You got Venmo and stuff like that too. And if you don't, you don't have the cash, share it out to your friends that do have cash that want to blow it on little old me. We'll put it to good use, I promise. Otherwise, be safe, stay out of the cults, use your critical thinking skills, and love one another. And if you can't be with the one you love, honey, love the one you're with. Do 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 do.
This is City Alpha 5! A damn good song, wasn't it, Dora? You like that song? All right.
Soon.
Conkers!